Greetings everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Captain Ryan. Today's YouTube video comes to us from Lloyd JT. And Lloyd is in the Tier 10 US battleship, the USS Montana. As the battle gets underway, it's a warrior's path, it's domination match mode, and Lloyd is headed towards the A cap point. Now this is an uncommon thing to do if you're on this side of the map, and especially if you're in a battleship, considering it's going to take you quite a while to sail across the map. Now, most of his team has also decided that they as well would like to head toward the A cap point, and this is where we start seeing a sign of potential trouble here. If you look at that mini-map there, you can see that there's not a lot of decisive effort to push the B cap point. Something that a lot of people tend to forget to do. You have to get up there, and especially if you're in a cruiser with radar in one of these high tier battles, you got to help push up there and support capturing the B cap point with your destroyers. The team that can secure the B cap point is in a prime position to effectively defend against the enemy team at the C cap point if they take it. Simultaneously, they can very quickly sneak off over there and grab the C cap point as well. Now Lloyd gets shots off here at a broadside battleship way off in the distance, manages to hit him, but all of his shells shatter. That's a little unfortunate. The 16-inch guns on the Montana are pretty much the same 16-inch guns on the Iowa, so you kind of have to take them for what they are. However, that being said, the turret traverse on the Montana is actually pretty good. I do believe it's a little bit quicker than the Kurfürst and a little bit quicker than the Yamato. So when you're up here at tier 10, you do have a little bit better maneuverability option. Lloyd manages to nail that broadside ship with a double citadel and really does put the hurt onto him. But the enemy team is already off to a fantastic start. They've managed to secure a first blood by taking out one of Lloyd's destroyers. Now that's going to give the enemy team a little bit of an advantage as they take out yet another destroyer, and that pretty much means they have an absolute destroyer advantage at this point. Now you notice here that the friendly British cruiser up there pumping rounds into the enemy destroyer was very effective, but you'll notice that Lloyd took shots at that destroyer as well. That's something that I see a lot of battleship players will not do, and it's infuriating. It's quite frustrating. If you're in a battleship player, you must prioritize those targets. If you see a destroyer within torpedo range of you, that's usually within 10 kilometers, you must prioritize, especially if your guns are already pointed that direction, and shoot him. If you don't, you are basically just going to open yourself up and your team up to having a bad time. Because if a destroyer pops up in visual range, is detected like that, it usually means that they've come in for what is effectively a guaranteed hit with a torpedo. So you might as well begin maneuvering hard and take out that destroyer if at all possible. Take him with you if he's gonna kill you anyway. Now Lloyd, seeing the situation up there, doesn't want to push the A cap point because he's got one cruiser who's hiding in smoke, but he's also very far forward as far as battleships go. So he takes the opportunity and he gets himself turned around. Again, something that I see a lot of battleship players don't understand that they can do. Go ahead, risk that broadside and get yourself turned around, come back here, basically pull a 360, and what that's going to do, that's going to allow your other battleships and other cruisers to kind of push up with you so that you can go in as a solid set rather than one by one in a nice quiet line for the enemy ships that are up in the defending point to just pick away at. Now the enemy team has secured the C cap point. Lloyd's team did secure the B cap point, but it's being challenged, and there's again nobody on his team who's in a position to go and support the B cap point. So that's going to be a real problem for his team as the enemy team starts capturing the B cap point. And at this point his team is being very passive. They don't want to push up here, and they don't want to try and take the A cap point. At this point in time, they've managed to deal quite a bit of damage to the ships that were over here at the ACAP point, including taking out one of the destroyers. Now, they've managed to take out both destroyers. This is excellent. They still have a destroyer, but that destroyer is probably not going to last very long. If you look at the minimap where he is and what he's facing down, yeah, that's pretty much, he's basically going in for what is effectively a suicide attack, or he's come around the corner and discovered, surprise, surprise, a large battleship who did shoot at him, and so that destroyer is going to be gone. So there are no more destroyers in this game, and that's good for both teams, but it's really bad for Lloyd's team, as they had the destroyer advantage to begin with, and not having a destroyer to sneak around, spot targets, and put torpedoes into things, that's going to mean that dealing with these battleships is going to have to come down to Lloyd and the other battleship players. They're going to have to put out those big hits now in order to take out battleships. If you've got destroyers, destroyers can really do that effectively. All you have to do as a battleship player is keep those battleships sailing in straight lines, usually angled away from your guns, because then the destroyers can get in there and they can go and drop torpedoes on a nice broadside. And those battleship players will just sail right into them because, hey, they want to stay angled against your guns. Now, Lloyd drops off detectability here, which is kind of surprising. It's something you don't see in the Montana because the detection range is so large. But, hey, he's got a bunch of islands in the way. There are several ships that are sitting in smoke screens, and those smoke screens definitely going to be laid by cruisers, probably British ones. His team has managed to start capping the A cap point, but the enemy team has taken B. So that's going to give the enemy team that points advantage. They're not that far behind on points, or on ships anyway, but because the enemy team now holds 2 caps, and because they've held one of the caps for so long, they have a points advantage, and that's going to be a serious problem for Lloyd and his team. The other advantages that the Montana has is it's got those secondaries, those US secondaries, those dual-purpose 5-inch guns. That gives the Montana a ridiculously good anti-aircraft rating. If you're in a carrier and you see a Montana, it's best to go pick on something else for a while, because until the late game, when that Montana has taken a lot of high explosive fire from cruisers and destroyers that have been knocking out those AA emplacements, he's got some significant anti-aircraft capability, and he's probably just going to shoot down all of your planes. You might hit him with a torpedo or a couple of bombs, but he's pretty much going to shoot down all of your aircraft. Lloyd's team manages to kill yet another ship as yet another ship gets killed. So they do have the A cap point. They are starting to gain points. This is good. But again, because they only have the 1 cap, they're running into a serious problem. Lloyd finally manages to secure his first kill, citadeling that battleship that came around the corner there. That battleship really didn't have much of an option, though. He's got a bunch of different ships shooting at him. But still, good kill for Lloyd. After 132,000 damage, he finally manages to secure a kill. Now, he's got a cruiser up here that is backing up, that's putting out rounds of what looks like armor piercing onto him, which is a little bit surprising. But he's going to go ahead and he's going to get a full broadside onto that cruiser. And he's going to do a reasonable amount of damage, but those 16-inch guns don't overmatch that well, especially on angled ships, especially on cruisers. And so, unfortunately, no citadels there. If it was the Yamato, of course we all know the lull pin on the Yamato probably would have triple citadeled the guy and just wrecked him. But that cruiser's got himself in a bad situation. He really doesn't have anywhere to go. Keeps backing up, he's going to beach himself on an island. If he goes forward, well, he's going to beach himself on an island. So he's got to risk a broadside, but that's a bad solution, as Lloyd manages to finally overmatch that bow armor and wreck yet another victim, causing 160,000 damage so far. And this is the first time that the teams are equal. Look at that. They are equal on the number of ships. If they can maintain this advantage, they can push home and they can start pushing the B cap point. But there's no communication regarding what target to shoot, and they have some low health ships. The enemy team, on the other hand, has a lot of moderately health ships. I take that back. They have a few moderately health ships, as Lloyd manages to secure a citadel on that cruiser and secures his 3rd kill in the game. Now, what they need to do is they need to coordinate here. They need to push up in a coordinated effort, and they need to focus down, preferably the things they know they can kill. That means shooting at the cruisers, like the Stakao up here, who's going to take a big hit from one friendly battleship, and Lloyd's going to put out shots on him. Now, with any luck, he is broadside on, and yes, he does. He secures his 4th kill in a very short period of time with another Citadel here. So now the enemy team down on ships. This gives Lloyd's team the points advantage. They're also in a ship advantage, but they have to push home on that advantage. Friendly battleship up here, very low health, and he needs to stay behind that island and recover some HP. This enemy battleship, Grosser Kurfürst, he is broadside on, but remember it's a Kurfürst. It's hard to Citadel even at close range, even at long range because of that turtleback armor. Still though, look at that high amount of damage that Lloyd managed to put out on that ship. That friendly battleship there, very low health. He's going to have a serious problem here. Lloyd manages to torpedo beats against the Takao's last-ditch effort of torpedoes, and he's on fire in a couple spots, and he doesn't have much option. There's yet another Kurfürst up there who's broadside on him. He's full strength. This is where focusing fire really needs to happen, because the rest of his team should really be focusing on the lower health Kurfürst over here. Without focusing fire, that's a significant issue, and it's going to give the enemy battleships an opportunity to pick and choose their lower health targets and finish them off to secure a victory. Lloyd is trying to make a run for behind this island here, and he's almost gotten away with it. Can he do it? Yes. What he needs to do now is he needs to sit back here, and he needs to stay back here long enough to start that recover ability. Remember, if you're going to come around a corner, especially if an enemy knows you're back here because they saw you come back here, you should be prepared to come around that corner with full strength. His damage control, his heal ability is almost available again. Can he get that up? Come on, press the heal ability, get that going on. Yes, he does. That Kurfürst, again, broadside onto him. He gets shots off. He really needs to turn in and angle against that battleship, because that battleship, he's going to turn around and he's going to start shooting. Unfortunately for him, none of the rest of his team is in a position to take advantage of that big damage hit. And that shot could have killed him. It could have been a lot worse, but he does survive it. Now, he's turned away, which isn't a bad thing, but I would have personally turned in order to use your bow armor in better positioning. The enemy team has managed to drop the teams back down. And look, they're 800 points. Lloyd's team, not even 400 points, so they're more than double the points there. And now Lloyd is getting shot at by a cruiser and a Kurfürst, and those secondaries on that Kurfürst are just ripping into him. But you'll notice that Lloyd shifts his attention. He's got a cruiser over here who's broadside onto him. And so can he secure that kill? Can he get shots off before he dies? Come on, this is one of the worst things that you can do in a battleship, is just sit there waiting. So he gets shots out. That cruiser looks like he's going to go ahead and stop. Come on, shots. Land home. He manages to Citadel him, but not kill him, so there's no crack in there. And his last shot ricocheted amazingly, leaving that cruiser on pretty much no health. So that's really unfortunate for Lloyd. Now, there's one ship left on his team, and that is the Minotaur over here. That Minotaur is leaving his smoke screen. The enemy team has the advantage. They've got 2 battleships, and they still have that cruiser alive that somehow managed to survive. This Minotaur is going in. He's got no camo. Look at that. And I think he doesn't even have flags on his ship. So that should be an indication of what kind of player this Minotaur is. Probably not the best. He starts opening up, and he's broadside on to that Kurfürst. And you know what? That Kurfürst is just going to go ahead and wreck that Minotaur. So, unfortunately, no dice for Lloyd. He did try, though, at 280,000 damage, devastating strike, high caliber, and Confederate. 4 kills, not quite enough for a Kraken. Unfortunately, that cruiser did slip away right there at the very end of the match. It would have been nice if he'd had the Kraken. It certainly would have helped. But when you see the team's score list, the base XP, you're going to be shocked and amazed. With what he did, he earned 2,000 base XP on a loss. And if you look at that, he earned more base XP on a loss than the top player on the winning team. Just to give you an idea how much he put in to this game, he outperformed the winning team. Lloyd, a fantastic battle. Well played, sir. Sorry, it wasn't quite enough to secure that victory. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, as well as my live stream schedule for the week, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me and the channel, you can become my supporter on Patreon. Supporters gain additional perks, such as previews to replays, among other things. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email, and if you'd like to watch me play World of Warships, among other games, live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.